what human body reconstruction means. So I think we have a Microsoft HoloLens today here, so that would give you a bit of an idea what volumetric video is if you don't know what it is at the moment. So volumetric video and photogrammetry. These are two things you want to work with when it comes to human body reconstructions. Thank you for the assistance. So just to give you a bit of insight what we're doing at the Institute regarding technologies you could use in the virtual and augmented reality environment. And my background is much more from the stereo side and also for panorama video streaming, and thanks for inviting me again. Last year I talked about the panorama video we're doing, the 360 camera called OmniCam 360. And we also have a 180-degree projection system for that, which is 7K resolution, something sounds familiar to me. But we will talk today about static 3D reconstructions and dynamics. So next, please. So here you see the whole, as much we can say, the value in the chain of virtual reality. And when you click next, that's what we focus at the moment on. And next, please. So, I mean, the post-production. Who's in post-production? Two. Okay. I tell you, it's complicated at the moment. Virtual reality, we don't know where it's going to. It's really. I think Lars can tell you later. He was raising his hand. He can tell you a lot about the do's and don'ts in this environment. But saying that, so the workflow is quite complex. And when we talk about volumetric video, we also call it the free viewpoint video. So virtual reality, that is totally different to what you know from normal TV or cinema. You are not a spectator. You want to be inside this environment. You are one of the story. You are inside the story. So you also want to get around the objects. So what we do then, we combine CGI and real videos in real time, and we do that by, so that's the background. We come from static 3D reconstructions, and one of my former colleagues is here. He can tell you a lot of more details. I will point him out later, but he's already drinking beer, so we'll see. So that is based on two photos, and you combine this and get a 3D reconstruction of one object. So here you see keep more. Thank you. So you see what you see here. You could have two or even more views to get this face as a reconstruction. And you see the entire head, and you see hair and the beard and so forth. So I think, are you one of this, Johannes? No, you're not one of these, one of your colleagues. So here you see what we did with our colleagues to try that. And so you have the reconstruction, and when you do post-production, you can get to really good details in these reconstructions regarding everything that is in your face, especially with hair. What is more interesting for male? So what you see here, I mean, augmented reality at the moment, that's what they tell you is Pokemon Go, but Pokemon Go technology is basically 8 years old, and this is just the easiest way to use augmented reality. Here we had a project, yes please, one sec. We had this project with the Bundesdruckerei, so where we have the insert of a 3D model. Okay, here we have another object. This is also done just with two views, right? Yeah. So you see a lot of details when we go closer, and that is basically really a great start because you just need two images, and we have a lot of details. So that's photogrammetry. And next example as well. Here, this is actually cool that you are here because you could talk about those projects. When you step to the next part, this is forensic. So just imagine, I mean, the BKA, the police, sometimes so that you come to this one where something happens. I don't know how you would.
Crime scene.
Yeah. So then it's raining. Yeah. Good luck with any gifts at all. Say, wait, do you know the English word? Plaster cast? Could be. So instead you take a picture really quickly, or 2 pictures, and then you have this 3D model of the scene, and maybe then we'll find out who of you was the murderer. So next one. So here you see much more of a complex model when we use more than 2 pictures to get this 360 model. And here you see the first example where we put this in a virtual environment. This is the small picture we see there, where we put that next to the Berlin East Gallery. So that is an example, and the next please. And here you also see a photogrammic model where we used more than 2 images to get a really detailed model which we can place in any environment. Well, and then we come to the next part of it. So of course, when we are in a virtual world, we want to capture things that are moving. And so we also have a long history and things like that. And there's a project my colleague and Lars, who's here, worked on. And I'm pretty sure you could, I will point them out later on. So we track this, the moving image and put anything on top of that, so what you would also call augmented reality. So next, please. And even with those wireframes, you can have those bodies that are moving. And this is a quite good example where you use this technology. And when we go to the next point, here you see the setup when we talk about capturing with cameras of live action. So that is the second part, which a lot of people call them volumetric video. So here we have the setup in our green screen studio, where we use 23 cameras for a 180-degree environment. So we had this musician, and you see on the next slide, here we have 23 pictures of him. And we combine them and get a 3D model that we did with him and we did with her with the drama, and then we put them in any environment which you see now. So give us a CGI model and put them anywhere you want. And that's basically what you want to have in virtual reality, because we can also then use the, for example, the HTC Vive, you use the triggers and teleport yourself next to them. It doesn't matter where you are, you have the view where you stand next to them, left, right, whatever. And this is giving you an example where it's going to, and that's what I really like, because we can make those images or those models much more precise when we use high quality cameras. What you see here is the result of our last test, so with 20 megapixels and 50 frames per second. So you, when I go higher with frames per second, the higher you get, the more it is more lively and much more what your eyes can see. This is my colleague Thomas, who's using himself as a model here. And that's the next steps. We go further. No, you can leave that. That's basically one of the last slides. So I want to give more time to talk about later on. So this gives you an idea where it's going to. And if you have seen the videos of Microsoft HoloLens or 8i or Incorporated, those are companies who are working on volumetric video, and they already show you that looks almost like a hologram that you see in front of you. And 8i showed a lot of pretty cool things. When you go on YouTube, you see the videos, how they capture at Microsoft. But for example, Microsoft uses 102 cameras. That's a lot. You can buy so many cameras. I want to see Babelsberg Studio is buying so many cameras because it has to be the same camera, right? So you want to have 100 of the same type. This is impossible to get in rental. So you want to have a solution where you use less cameras. In this, for example, here we used 4 cameras, and we had a task where we had this whole upper body with 4 cameras, and it was already such a really good, convincing result that we now bought a couple of more cameras, not 100. I think we're just down to 20 or something. 14 for 180 degree. And that's the next step, that we will have an environment where we put our colleagues of any object in the green screen, where we use then those high resolution cameras and can show that we can put the whole body, or we can capture the whole body with this high quality where you don't see any flickering, where you can go around this area and you don't need 102 cameras, even using infrared cameras. That's what Microsoft says. I'm not saying that it's bad, it's just saying it's a lot. But it already looks good, and I would commit you to have a look at the Microsoft HoloLens, although I want to be the first one, because I always have fun with this thing, although we have it in our office, but it's always fun to see that. And I basically say augmented reality is a good example where you see it's much more than media. The applications are much wider, as I would say, and you see already where it's going to. And I think if you have more questions later on, or now for your time, I'm happy to answer them. So, thank you. You told me 1 or 2 questions.
So, David?
Yeah.
How do you tackle compression? Because compression, like video compression.
Well, maybe you know that we work on compression, which is called H.264, H.265, the video.
You mean like mesh compression for like automatic construction?
Well, yes, that we wouldn't tell you. It's not as complicated as you think when we're working with our own solution. As in our own, so we have the video department, the video division, where we have 2 departments, and one is for video coding and analytics, and obviously we work really closely with them. Which is, by the way, we also use that for transmission of 360 video, because everything is so big that you have to compress it in one.
Video compression is something totally different. I mean, for example, like AI, they're using hierarchical stuff.
I tell you, it's similar to AI.
Similar to AI.
Yeah.
You also talked about live reconstruction.
Yeah.
What do you think, when will be the time that we can actually meet each other in a virtual space, for example, at a conference like that?
That's what they always ask for on the phone, and we have to answer. When?
Yeah, when?
It depends. If we don't kill the baby before it's born, I'm talking about virtual reality, maybe it's happening earlier than we think. I mean, at the moment, everybody is working on that, and this market is really dynamic. So it's unbelievable. It's much faster than 3D was. And most people who work in virtual reality at the moment, they work in 3D. So most of them have a good understanding of 3D models. And VR is by nature 3D, because you have 2 pictures, right? So when you ask Gardner Hype, it might be 5 years. So the Gardner Hype cycle. Depends what you want to believe, but I think if we all work on that and we don't bring out the bullshit content, sorry, pardon my language, then it could work maybe already in 3
So
years.
you want to be within 5 years?
Maybe earlier. But I mean, have you seen Oculus Connect, where Mark Zuckerberg showed what he's working on with Oculus in this environment? So you have your avatar, and I put my mom as an avatar there, and I play cards with her, although I'm in Australia. So that is, and as they're already using tracking systems for your gestures, that is already going in this direction. Obviously, those avatars at the moment looks like the ones you know from PlayStation V. You can build them and give them the eyes you think that looks a bit like you and so forth. So there's things, I mean, Microsoft would show you, you can Google that on YouTube videos, a lot of Microsoft HoloLens you see. They call it holograms, and you have basically everybody who was captured in that environment. You can put them on a table next to you and they are talking to you. But obviously they are talking what is captured as it is a video. So it might, and Microsoft said they would open the studio where they do that in March. I don't know if they open it for public or if that just is on contracts and you say, I want to have this and this. And then talking about live, that comes back to the question about compression. It's a lot. So we don't know if the live thing, where I can talk with you really live in this environment, and I'm in Australia and you're here, we'll see. Oh, that's a lot. Yes?
So what's the, like, the 3D pipeline and the real-time 3D pipeline, they're different?
Yes, absolutely, because I'm going to talk about, again about transmission.
Yes, so could you comment a little about the real-time pipeline? How
Yeah, that goes back to this question. It's pretty hard to. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So the question is the timeline for 3D.
pipeline for 3D.
3D pipeline and a 3D live pipeline. So a 3D pipeline that's already there. We just need to find out how many companies can do that in a good solution. And AI, Microsoft, and so forth, they all have post-production process to make this look good. And the videos look better than the stuff you can already see. Obviously, it's a lot of marketing videos. So, but this will be, I guess, next year. We talk about that, and it's quite common. But it's also depending on the glasses, because they are not good yet. I mean, that's not a resolution you want to have. And when you ask the math behind that, you need basically 16K per eye if you want to have this real environment, this immersive environment. So that's quite hard. But it is faster than the real-time 3D stuff. Because then we talk about transmission, and that is a whole different subject. So how big are those, how many terabytes are we talking about? And what is what do we mean with live? Is there, do we talk about 6 frames delay? And that's, a lot of people work on this in the video world, so when you capture something in 360, a concert and so forth, that we already did that. And there we rely a lot on 5G, so the next standard for mobile network. And we already did a test here for IFA with Telecom and Nokia. So that's already, we can do that. But when it comes to things like that, where you capture someone in 360, we still have to get to this point where we film that and it looks good. So, and there's a lot of science people working on that, it's still not really there. Does that answer your question? So I can't tell you. We won't talk about the timing.
Yeah, I think one more question, then because we need.
Sorry, Oliver, there was another question behind there that was raised earlier.
I just wanted to ask about the amount of data power needed to process what we had there on the slide.
Computation power.
A lot. So it wouldn't be your normal computer. We need high. How do you say that in English? High performance computers.
But just one workstation or server?
Yeah, we work with one workstation, so they could already. That's easier than you think, but it's one workstation, not a laptop.
And how long did it calculate?
Also depending on the object, but we needed for this one shot with his head. That was I think it was one afternoon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I asked the other questions later.
Yeah, so I mean, you will be around
Yes.
longer, right?
Yeah.
So thanks again.
So we
reschedule a little bit because Professor Steinecke needs to catch his train. So we'll do the next talk directly right now. So we are not in a hurry later. So then welcome Professor Steinecke. He will talk about the locomotion issue, problem. No, challenge, let's say it this way. Challenge of locomotion. Yeah, thank you. Works. And afterwards we have some demos and announcements. Yeah, so right now the talk.
Thank you. So I'm very sorry that you don't have the break now, but have to take the break a little